poor single mom saved a stranger from a heart attack, unaware he was a CEO, and falls in love with her. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now let's dive into the story. Emma Brooks stood nervously at the entrance of the elegant New York restaurant, her heart racing as she adjusted her second-hand dress. The bustling hum of conversation and the clinking of silverware filled the air, but Emma could barely hear it. Her mind was elsewhere, far from the fancy restaurant she found herself in. She wasn't supposed to be here. She was a waitress, struggling to make ends meet, and yet here she was, about to meet someone on a blind date arranged by her best friend, Jenny. The warmth of the golden lights and the polished decor contrasted sharply with her scuffed shoes and worn-out bag. Her reflection in the glass was a reminder that she didn't belong in places like this. I promised Jenny I'd go through with it, Emma muttered under her breath, trying to calm her nerves. The message from Jenny had been clear: just give it a try. He's a good guy. But Emma had never been good at pretending, and tonight, she was pretending to be someone she wasn't. She had no idea what this date would bring, but she hoped it would bring a sense of normalcy, even if just for tonight. Taking a deep breath, she stepped into the restaurant, scanning the room for her date. Table S, she whispered to herself, her fingers tightly gripping her phone. She needed to find it quickly. Her eyes landed on a man sitting alone, his back straight, dark hair neatly combed, and his gaze focused on the phone in his hand. That's got to be him, she thought, walking toward the table, her pulse quickening. As she approached, she plastered a bright smile on her face. Hi, you must be Kevin. I'm Emma. Nice to meet you. The man looked up, startled, his eyes blinking in confusion. He paused for a moment, clearly unsure of how to respond. Hi Emma, he finally said, his voice low but calm. Emma misread the hesitation, thinking it was just shyness. She smiled wider and slid into the seat across from him. Oh, I know this is awkward. Blind dates are weird, right? Jenny told me you might be a little quiet, so don't worry. I can talk enough for both of us. The man opened his mouth to correct her, but stopped. Something in Emma's earnest expression made him pause, and he smiled faintly instead. Right, blind dates are something else. Emma laughed nervously, taking a sip of water. Tell me about it. Jenny's been trying to set me up for months, but I've been too busy. Work, you know, she said, her voice light. He leaned back in his chair, studying her for a moment. What do you do? He asked, his tone curious. Emma, feeling a bit self-conscious, adjusted in her seat. I'm a waitress. Not exactly glamorous, but it pays the bills. Well, most of them, anyway. She smiled, trying to lighten the mood. What about you? What do you do? He hesitated. Tech, he replied vaguely. You know, coding, apps, that sort of thing. Emma nodded, not fully understanding but not wanting to seem out of place. Oh, cool, she said, her voice casual. I'm terrible with computers. She shifted uncomfortably in her seat, trying to find a way to steer the conversation to something more familiar. The man smiled again, his gaze softening as he listened to her talk. Emma's nervousness began to ease as the conversation flowed. She told him about her struggles at the diner, the tight rent she barely managed to pay, and her dream of one day opening an art studio. To her surprise, he seemed genuinely interested. She noticed the way he laughed at her stories, the way his eyes lit up when she spoke about her passion for painting. He wasn't the aloof tech guy she expected. He was kind, easy to talk to. She felt a small spark of hope. You're not what I expected, Emma said suddenly, her voice thoughtful. The man raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Well, Jenny said you were reserved, Emma explained, a faint blush creeping up her neck. But you're easy to talk to. He chuckled softly. You're easy to talk to, too, he replied. Just as Emma was about to ask more about his work in tech, her phone buzzed. She glanced down at the screen, her face falling as she reread the message. Hey, Emma, where are you? I'm at table 7, looking forward to meeting you. Kevin. Her stomach sank. She looked up at the man across from her, her face burning with embarrassment. You're not Kevin, are you? She whispered. The man's smile faltered, and guilt flickered in his eyes. No, I'm not. Emma stood abruptly, her heart racing. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, she stammered, her face flushed. I sat at the wrong table. This is so embarrassing. Before he could stop her, she grabbed her coat and bolted for the door, her mind racing with humiliation. The man watched her leave, a strange mix of regret and curiosity swirling in his chest. Something about her, something genuine and warm, had caught his attention. He couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to see her again. As Emma rushed out of the restaurant, her heart pounded in her chest. She was mortified, but deep down, she couldn't help but wonder if she would ever see him again. And if she did, would she ever be able to forget the way he made her feel tonight? After Emma ran out of the restaurant, her heart was pounding, her mind racing with embarrassment. She couldn't believe what had just happened. She had sat at the wrong table and made a complete fool of herself in front of someone who might have been important. As she hurried down the street, she cursed herself for not double-checking the table number, but then she stopped. She paused on the sidewalk, her chest heaving as she tried to calm down. I'll just forget it, she muttered to herself, wiping a tear away. I won't see him again. It's fine. I'll be fine. Still, the memory of the stranger's kind smile stayed with her, a reminder of something genuine that had slipped through her fingers. The next morning, Emma woke up with a dull headache. Her small apartment felt colder than usual, the walls seeming to close in as she shuffled to the kitchen to make some coffee. As she sat at her small table, sipping the warm liquid, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Jenny. Hey, how was the date? I want all the details. Was he cute? Emma smiled at the text, but she couldn't help feeling a pang of guilt. She quickly typed back, not what I expected. Sat at the wrong table. She hesitated before hitting send, unsure if she should share the full story. Jenny's response was almost immediate. Oh no, what happened? Was it awkward? Emma took a deep breath and replied, yeah, he wasn't Kevin. I ran out. It was pretty embarrassing. Jenny's next message came with a string of laughing emojis, followed by, at least you didn't spill anything on him. Maybe this is just a funny story for later, right? Emma chuckled despite herself, but her thoughts kept drifting back to the man she had met yesterday. She had never felt so awkward in her life, and yet there had been something about him. Something she couldn't quite put her finger on. She found herself wondering about him throughout the day, his calm demeanor, his quiet confidence. Was he really just another businessman, or was there more to him? Later that afternoon, Emma walked to the local park to clear her mind. She needed to shake off the embarrassment. The park was relatively empty, with just a few people scattered around. Emma found a bench near the lake, taking a seat and gazing out at the water. Her phone buzzed again, this time with an unfamiliar number. She hesitated before answering. Hello, she said cautiously. Emma, a deep voice asked. It was a voice she recognized, though she hadn't expected to hear it again. Yes, she replied, her heart suddenly racing. This is Liam Parker. I was hoping we could talk for a minute. Emma's heart skipped a beat. The name felt familiar, but she couldn't place it. Liam Parker, she repeated slowly. I'm sorry, but I think you have the wrong number. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Then Liam spoke again, his voice calm. I don't think I do, he said. I'm the man you sat with yesterday. The one you thought was Kevin. Emma's breath caught in her throat. She felt her face flush, and she instinctively looked around the park as if searching for something to hide behind. Oh my God, she muttered under her breath. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. I thought you were someone else. I wasn't expecting. She trailed off, unsure of what to say. Liam's voice softened. Emma, it's all right. I just wanted to apologize for not correcting you sooner. I didn't mean to confuse you. She didn't know what to say to that. Her mind was spinning. Why was he calling her? He didn't have to, but she didn't want to be rude. Thank you for calling, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. I really appreciate it, but it was just a mix-up. No need to apologize. There was a brief silence, and then Liam spoke again, his tone serious. Actually, Emma, I was hoping we could meet again. I know it sounds strange, but I'd like to make it up to you. Maybe a coffee? Or lunch? Emma froze. Was this a joke? Was he messing with her? But there was something in his voice that didn't seem like a joke. It felt genuine, like he truly wanted to meet her again. I don't know if that's a good idea, she replied, feeling a little unsure. I mean, I don't even know you. We barely talked yesterday. Liam's response was immediate. I get that. I do. But I'd like the chance to get to know you. You're someone I'd like to spend more time with, even if it's just as friends. No pressure, just coffee. Emma took a deep breath. Was this really happening? Why was he so insistent? But despite her doubts, she found herself thinking about it. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to give him a chance. Okay, she said, her voice quiet. Coffee sounds good. She could feel the tension in her chest loosen, just a little. Great. How about tomorrow afternoon? I'll send you the details. Emma nodded, though she knew he couldn't see it. Tomorrow sounds fine, she said, almost surprised by how easily she agreed. After hanging up, Emma sat on the bench for a moment, her thoughts in a whirlwind. What had just happened? Why did he want to meet her again? And what if it was just another awkward encounter? But deep down, something told her that it might not be. Something told her that this wasn't the end of their story. It was just the beginning. The next day, Emma arrived at the small coffee shop she had agreed to meet Liam at, her heart pounding in her chest. She arrived early just to make sure she wouldn't be late. She had dressed carefully, picking out a simple blouse and a pair of jeans, trying to look casual yet put together. She glanced nervously at her reflection in the window as she waited for Liam to arrive, wondering if this would be just another awkward encounter. The past day had been a whirlwind, and now here she was, about to meet the man she thought she had embarrassed herself in front of. She wasn't sure what to expect, but she couldn't deny the curiosity that had been building inside her since their phone call. What could Liam possibly want with someone like her? A woman struggling to get by, working a part-time job, dreaming of something more. As Emma stood by the counter, fidgeting with her coffee cup, she heard the door chime and looked up. Liam walked in, his tall frame cutting through the crowded room. He was wearing a casual jacket and jeans, and his dark hair was styled in a way that still looked effortless. He scanned the room and locked eyes with her almost immediately. She felt a rush of nervousness flood her chest, and she instinctively stood up. Liam gave her a small, reassuring smile as he walked over to the table. Hey, Emma, he said, his voice warm and familiar. I hope I didn't keep you waiting too long. She shook her head quickly. No, I just got here, she replied, trying to sound calm, though her nerves were evident in the way her hands fiddled with the edge of her sleeve. Liam pulled out the chair across from her and sat down. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Emma looked down at her coffee, unsure of how to begin. The silence between them was oddly comforting, and yet it felt thick with anticipation. I know this is a bit strange, Liam said, breaking the silence, but I wanted to apologize again for yesterday. I never should have let you walk out like that. Emma blinked, surprised. It's okay, she said, her voice soft. I mean, I wasn't expecting to meet someone like you, so it's not your fault. Liam raised an eyebrow at her, clearly intrigued. Someone like me? What do you mean? Emma hesitated, then looked up at him. I mean, I wasn't expecting you to be, well, who you are, she said, gesturing vaguely. I thought you were just some regular guy. Not a millionaire CEO. Liam chuckled softly, his eyes crinkling at the corners. I see. He leaned back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. I suppose that's fair. But that's not what matters, right? Emma shifted uncomfortably. I don't know, she replied, looking away. I mean, you could have told me, but you didn't. It just feels kind of weird, like you were hiding something. Liam's smile faded slightly as he sat forward. I wasn't trying to hide anything, he said earnestly. I just didn't want you to think I was some, I don't know, business guy who's only interested in people because of what they can do for him. I wanted to get to know you without any of that. Without the whole CEO thing hanging over us. Emma's heart skipped a beat. So, you just wanted to talk to me? She asked, incredulous. Liam nodded, his gaze steady. Yes, I wanted to see who you really are. What you care about. What your life is like. Emma swallowed hard, trying to process what he was saying. But why me? She asked, her voice quieter now. Why would you be interested in someone like me? Liam looked at her for a long moment, and when he spoke, his voice was softer, more genuine than she had ever heard. Because, Emma, you're real. You're not afraid to show who you are, even when things are tough. I admire that. Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. She didn't know what to say. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. She had always been so used to feeling invisible, especially in places like this, surrounded by people who had everything. But here was Liam, a man who could have anyone, telling her he saw something in her. Something real. The moment stretched on, and for the first time, Emma felt like maybe she didn't need to hide. She could be herself, flaws and all, and someone would still want to know her. Liam smiled at her again, And this time, it wasn't awkward or forced. It felt genuine, like he really cared. "I know this is a lot to process," he said, "and I don't want to rush you. But I'd like to see where this goes. No pressure. Just two people getting to know each other. No expectations." Emma nodded slowly, her thoughts swirling. She wasn't sure where this would lead, but something told her that meeting Liam wasn't a coincidence. Maybe, just maybe, this could be the beginning of something real. "Okay," she said quietly. "I'll give this a chance." Liam's smile widened, and he leaned forward slightly. "I'm glad to hear that." They sat there for a while, talking about everything and nothing, about art, dreams, and the small moments that made life beautiful. As the conversation flowed, Emma couldn't help but feel a sense of hope she hadn't experienced in a long time. Maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something she had never expected. Over the next few weeks, Emma and Liam saw each other more frequently. Their meetings were always casual, often at the same coffee shop where they had their first proper conversation. At first, Emma had been nervous, unsure of what to expect, but each meeting felt easier than the last. Liam was always kind, attentive, and seemed genuinely interested in her thoughts and ideas. The more they talked, the more she realized how much they had in common, despite their different lives. Emma had never imagined she would connect with someone like Liam, but here she was, enjoying every moment they spent together. She found herself laughing at his jokes, getting lost in conversations that seemed to last forever, and even feeling a little bit of hope for the first time in a long while. One afternoon, they met again at the coffee shop. Emma was already seated at their usual table when Liam walked in. He smiled when he saw her and walked over, taking a seat across from her. "Hey, Emma," he said, his voice warm. "How's your day been?" Emma smiled back, trying to hide her growing excitement. "It's been all right," she said. "Busy with work, but nothing I can't handle." She had started to take on more hours at the diner recently, determined to save up enough money to make her dream of opening an art studio a reality. Liam leaned back in his chair, studying her with interest. "You're working a lot these days," he noted. "Anything exciting happening at the diner?" Emma shrugged slightly. "Not much. Just the usual, really. But I've been thinking about taking some art classes. I mean, it's always been my dream, but life gets in the way, you know." Liam's expression softened. "I know what you mean. Life has a way of putting up obstacles. But you should definitely pursue your dreams. I think you've got something special, Emma." Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. "Thanks, Liam," she said quietly. "That means a lot to me." There was a brief silence between them before Liam spoke again, his voice more serious. "Emma, I've been thinking a lot about us. About everything that's been happening. And I want to be honest with you about something." Emma's heart skipped a beat. "What's going on?" she asked, a little nervous. Liam leaned forward, his expression earnest. "I've really enjoyed getting to know you. More than I can say. But I think you deserve to know who I really am. I don't want to keep anything from you." Emma frowned, unsure of what he meant. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice quiet. Liam took a deep breath before continuing. "I told you I'm in tech, but that's not the whole story. The truth is, I'm the CEO of a company. I didn't tell you before because I didn't want it to change anything between us. I wanted you to get to know me for who I am, not what I do. But I think it's time you knew the truth." Emma stared at him, her mind racing. She had suspected there was more to him, but hearing it out loud was a shock. "You're the CEO?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam nodded. "Yes. And I know it probably changes things, but I want you to know that I'm still the same person. I've never wanted anyone to like me for my money or status. I want to be liked for who I am, for what's inside." Emma sat back in her chair, trying to process everything. She had never imagined someone like Liam would be interested in her, a waitress with big dreams and little money. And now, hearing this, she felt conflicted. Part of her felt relieved that he had been honest with her, but another part of her felt nervous. Could she really handle this? Could she handle being with someone who lived a life so different from hers? Liam seemed to sense her hesitation. "I understand if this is a lot to take in," he said softly. "I just want you to know that I care about you. I want to see where this goes, no matter what. But I don't want you to feel like you have to change anything about yourself. You're perfect the way you are." Emma's heart raced as she listened to him. She had never met anyone like him. She had never met someone who cared so much about getting to know her for who she truly was. And yet, a part of her was afraid. Could she trust that he wasn't just another man looking to take advantage of her? Could she really be with someone so successful while she was still struggling to make ends meet? I don't know, Liam, she said finally, her voice trembling slightly. This is all so new to me. I don't want to mess things up, but I also don't want to be someone I'm not just to fit into your world. Liam reached across the table, placing his hand over hers. His touch was gentle, reassuring. Emma, you don't have to be anyone else but yourself. That's all I want. We'll take things slow, figure it out together. You're not alone in this. His words filled her with a sense of comfort and warmth. She looked into his eyes and saw sincerity, something she hadn't seen in a long time. Maybe this was the beginning of something she could trust. Maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something real. In the days that followed, Emma couldn't stop thinking about her conversation with Liam. His confession about being the CEO of a tech company had shaken her, but in a way, it had also given her clarity. He had been honest with her, and his words about wanting her to be herself, no matter what, echoed in her mind. Still, a part of her felt uncertain. Could she really be with someone who lived in a world so different from her own? Would he get tired of her dreams and her struggles? She didn't know, but she couldn't ignore the way he made her feel when they were together, the way he looked at her like she was more than just the woman who worked at a diner. A week later, Liam invited Emma to a charity gala he was hosting for his company. Emma hesitated. The thought of going to such an event seemed overwhelming. She had never been to anything like it, dressed in formal attire, surrounded by high-powered people, with a man who was not only wealthy but well-known in his field. But Liam was insistent. I want you there, he told her on the phone. It's important to me. Please come. After a bit more convincing, Emma agreed, though she was still nervous. On the night of the gala, Emma stood in front of her mirror, unsure of what to wear. She had never felt so out of place, but after digging through her closet, she settled on a simple black dress she had bought on sale months ago. It wasn't expensive, but it would have to do. She spent the next hour trying to tame her hair and calm her nerves before finally calling a cab. The moment she stepped out of the car and into the grand entrance of the event, she felt small. The ballroom was filled with well-dressed men and women laughing, talking, and clinking glasses, as waiters circulated with trays of champagne. Emma took a deep breath and tried to steady her nerves. She felt completely out of her element. She scanned the room for Liam, hoping to find him soon, but he was nowhere in sight. After a few moments, she spotted him across the room, standing with a group of people, laughing. He looked confident, at ease in his tailored suit, the very image of a CEO. But when he saw her, his smile grew wider, and he excused himself from the group, walking towards her. Emma's heart skipped a beat. You look beautiful, Liam said as he reached her, his voice sincere. Emma felt her cheeks flush, and she smiled awkwardly. Thanks, but I feel like I don't belong here. Liam shook his head gently, a reassuring smile on his face. You belong here with me, he said. And besides, we're just here to have a good time, right? He offered his arm to her, and though she hesitated for a second, she took it. The night was a blur of fancy food, polite conversation, and the occasional glance at Liam, who seemed perfectly at ease in his world. Emma felt like an outsider. She didn't know how to talk to these people, didn't know the right things to say. But Liam always stayed close, checking in with her between conversations, offering her a warm smile when she felt lost. At one point, they stepped out onto the balcony to get some fresh air. The cool night breeze felt like a welcome relief from the overwhelming crowd. How are you holding up? Liam asked as he leaned against the railing, his eyes soft as he looked at her. Emma shrugged, looking out at the city skyline. It's just a lot. I feel like everyone here has their life together. And then there's me, just trying to make ends meet. Liam's expression softened. Emma, look at me, he said gently. She turned to meet his gaze, and for the first time that night, she saw the real Liam. No business facade, no formalities. Just him, standing there, vulnerable in his own way. You're not alone in this, he said, his voice low but steady. I may have a lot of money, but that doesn't mean I have it all figured out. I didn't get here by playing it safe, and I don't expect you to either. You're chasing your dreams, and that's something to be proud of. Emma's throat tightened as she listened to him. She had never heard anyone speak to her like that, as if her struggles mattered, as if her dreams meant something. She swallowed hard and took a deep breath. I just don't want to disappoint you, she admitted, the words coming out before she could stop them. Liam reached out and gently touched her hand. You could never disappoint me, Emma, he said softly. I'm not here because of your job or your income. I'm here because I see you. I see your heart, your determination, and I admire it. So don't ever think you're not enough. The warmth in his words settled over her like a blanket, and for the first time that evening, she felt at peace. Thank you, she said quietly, squeezing his hand. Liam smiled, then pulled her into a gentle hug. Now let's go have some fun, okay? Emma nodded, a smile spreading across her face. Maybe, just maybe, she was starting to believe that this was real. She wasn't just a girl from the diner, struggling to survive. She was someone worth seeing, worth hearing, and maybe, just maybe, she was worthy of a love that could change her life. The weeks that followed the gala seemed to fly by. Emma and Liam continued to see each other regularly, but their relationship had deepened. It wasn't just about meeting for coffee or dinner anymore. It was about the way they could talk for hours without any pretense, the way their silences were comfortable, not awkward. Liam had become a constant presence in Emma's life, but she still wasn't sure what to make of it all. She had never been in a relationship like this before, one that felt so real, so meaningful. There was still a part of her that was afraid of the differences between them, of what it meant that he was a CEO, and she was still just a waitress with big dreams, but little money. One afternoon, Liam invited her to his apartment for dinner. Emma had been to his penthouse a few times, but this was different. He told her he had been working on a new project and wanted to show her something, but she could tell there was more to it. He seemed a little more nervous than usual, which, for someone as composed as Liam, was unusual. When Emma arrived at his building, she was greeted by the doorman, who led her up to the penthouse. The doors opened to reveal Liam standing by the kitchen, wearing a casual shirt and jeans, looking more relaxed than usual. He smiled when he saw her, though there was a hint of something in his eyes that she couldn't quite place. Hey, Emma, he greeted her, stepping forward and taking her coat. Come on in, I've got something special for us tonight. Emma raised an eyebrow. Something special? She asked with a smile. What do you have up your sleeve? Liam chuckled softly, leading her into the living room. You'll see in a minute. Trust me, it's nothing too crazy, he said, though there was an excited glint in his eyes. He motioned for her to sit on the couch, and she did, still curious. As he moved around the room, getting things ready, Emma looked out the large windows at the city lights below. The view from Liam's penthouse was always breathtaking, but tonight, something felt different. There was an energy in the air, something palpable. Okay, ready? Liam asked, turning to face her with a grin. Ready for what? Emma asked, her curiosity growing. Liam walked over to a nearby shelf and pulled out a large envelope. He handed it to her with a soft smile. I've been working on something, and I wanted you to be the first to see it. Emma looked at the envelope, then back at Liam. What's this? She asked, her voice filled with curiosity. Liam nodded toward the envelope. Just open it. You'll understand when you do. Emma carefully opened the envelope and pulled out a stack of papers. As she looked through them, her eyes widened. They were designs for a small art studio, her art studio. Her name was written on the top of the first page, Emma Brooks Art Studio. Her heart skipped a beat as she scanned the rest of the documents, which included floor plans, budgets, and sketches. Liam, this is what I've dreamed of, she whispered, her voice trembling. Liam watched her intently, his expression soft. I know it is, he said. I've seen how much you want this, and I want to help make it happen. Emma shook her head in disbelief. But how? I can't afford something like this. There's no way I could ever. You won't have to worry about that, Liam interrupted gently. I've already taken care of everything. This is my gift to you, Emma. A place where you can create, where your art can live. I believe in you. I believe in your vision, and I want to see it come to life. Emma felt tears welling up in her eyes. She had spent so many years struggling, working long hours at the diner, wondering if she would ever get a chance to pursue her dreams. And now, here was Liam, offering her the opportunity of a lifetime. She reached up to wipe her eyes, trying to steady her breath. I don't know what to say, she said, her voice cracking slightly. This is more than I could have ever imagined. Liam smiled warmly, walking over to sit beside her on the couch. You don't have to say anything, he said softly. I just wanted to show you how much you mean to me. You deserve this, Emma. You deserve to follow your dreams. Emma looked at him, her heart overflowing with gratitude. She had never known anyone who would do something like this for her. Not only had Liam believed in her, but he had also shown her that anything was possible, that her dreams were within reach. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice full of emotion. "Thank you for everything." Liam took her hand in his touch gentle. "You don't have to thank me," he said, his eyes sincere. "I just want to see you happy, to see you succeed. You're the most talented, passionate person I know. You deserve all the success in the world." For the first time in a long while, Emma felt like she was truly seen, truly understood. And in that moment, she realized that this wasn't just about the studio or the money. It was about the love, the belief, and the connection they shared. Liam wasn't just helping her achieve her dream. He was making her believe in herself again. And that was the most powerful gift of all. As they sat there together, Emma felt a sense of peace settle in her heart. She wasn't alone anymore. She had Liam by her side, and for the first time, she believed that anything was possible. As the weeks passed, Emma couldn't help but feel like her life was slowly falling into place. With Liam's support, she was finally able to start the process of opening her art studio. She had found the perfect space, a small, cozy building in a quiet corner of the city that would be ideal for her work. It felt surreal, like a dream she had been chasing for so long was finally becoming a reality. Every time she stepped into the new space, she could already see the walls filled with her art, the room alive with the creative energy she had always longed for. Yet, despite the excitement, there was an undercurrent of doubt that still lingered in her mind. She had never been in a position like this before, and sometimes she couldn't shake the feeling that it was all too good to be true. One evening, after a long day of working on the studio, Emma met Liam for dinner at one of their favorite spots. As usual, he greeted her with a smile that made her heart skip a beat. "Hey, you look tired," he said, his voice warm as he pulled out her chair for her. "How's everything going at the studio?" Emma sighed, sinking into her chair. "It's going well, really well, actually. I can't believe it's happening. But there's a part of me that still feels like it could all fall apart, you know?" Liam's smile softened, and he reached across the table to take her hand. "I understand, but you're doing something amazing, Emma. You've worked so hard to get here, and you deserve every bit of success that's coming your way." Emma looked down at their intertwined hands, her mind racing. "I know, but sometimes I can't help but wonder if I'm just not enough. You've given me everything, Liam. Your support, your trust. But what if I fail? What if all this falls apart, and I'm left with nothing?" Liam squeezed her hand gently, his expression serious. "Emma, listen to me. You are enough. You've always been enough. You've been through so much already, and you've come out stronger. Whatever happens, I believe in you. And I'll be here, no matter what." His words settled over her like a comforting blanket, and for the first time in a long while, Emma felt a sense of peace. She had been so focused on the fear of failure that she hadn't stopped to realize how far she had come. She had built this life with her own hands, and she wasn't alone anymore. Liam was by her side, supporting her every step of the way. She took a deep breath, feeling a new sense of determination. "Thank you," she said softly, looking up at him. "Thank you for believing in me. I don't know if I could do this without you." Liam smiled, his eyes full of affection. "You don't have to do it alone. I'm here for you always." As the night went on, they continued to talk about their plans for the future, laughing and enjoying each other's company. The doubts that had once consumed Emma seemed to melt away, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose. She had no idea what the future held, but she knew one thing for certain. She wasn't afraid anymore. With Liam by her side, she felt unstoppable. But life, as it often does, has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. A few days later, Emma received an unexpected phone call that would change everything. It was from her landlord, who informed her that the building she had rented for her studio was being sold. The new owners had decided to raise the rent by a significant amount, making it impossible for Emma to continue with her plans. Emma's heart sank as she listened to the news. All the progress she had made, all the dreams she had been building, seemed to crash down in an instant. She hung up the phone, feeling like the world had suddenly shifted beneath her feet. She couldn't let this happen. Not now, not when everything was finally falling into place. Without thinking, she grabbed her coat and headed out the door, determined to find a solution. She didn't know where she was going, but she knew she couldn't just sit and let this setback stop her. As she walked through the city streets, Her thoughts raced. What could she do? Where could she go? And then, just as she was starting to feel defeated, she remembered something Liam had said to her earlier. You're not alone in this. She had to trust him. She had to trust herself. She couldn't let fear dictate her future. She pulled out her phone and dialed Liam's number, her hands shaking as she waited for him to pick up. Liam, she said, her voice breaking slightly when he answered. I need your help. Liam was immediately on the other end, his voice full of concern. What happened? Are you okay? The studio, my studio, it's being sold, and the rent is going up. I don't know what to do. Emma's heart ached as she spoke the words aloud, but she wasn't going to give up. Not now. Liam's response was calm but firm. I've got you, Emma. Don't worry, we'll figure this out together. And in that moment, Emma realized that no matter what happened, no matter what obstacles came her way, she wasn't alone. She had Liam, and she had herself. Together, they could overcome anything. The following day, Emma met Liam at a quiet cafe in the city, both of them having a lot on their minds. Emma's heart still ached from the phone call with her landlord the day before. She had spent the entire night awake, thinking about her options, wondering if there was any way to save her dream of the studio. It seemed like the world had thrown another obstacle in her path, and this time, she wasn't sure if she could overcome it. But when she met Liam, his calm presence immediately put her at ease. He could sense her anxiety before she even spoke, his eyes soft with concern as he sat down across from her. Hey, Emma, are you all right? He asked, his voice gentle but filled with care. She sighed, her fingers tracing the edge of her coffee cup as she looked up at him. I don't know, she said honestly. The studio, it's not going to work anymore. I've worked so hard to get here, and now I feel like it's all slipping away. Liam reached across the table and took her hand in his, giving it a reassuring squeeze. Emma, you're one of the strongest people I know. I've seen how hard you've fought for this, and I don't think this setback should be the end of it. Let's figure it out together. Emma felt a lump form in her throat as she looked at him. His words were exactly what she needed to hear. She had been so consumed by fear and doubt that she hadn't allowed herself to see the bigger picture. Maybe this wasn't the end, but a new beginning. She had worked too hard to give up now. I don't know what to do, she said quietly, shaking her head. Everything feels so uncertain, and I just don't have the money to fight this. The rent increase. I can't afford it. Liam's eyes were filled with understanding, but there was something else there, something Emma had seen before, the determination to help her find a way. Emma, he said softly, I don't want you to worry about the money. Let's take the next step together, no matter what. Emma looked at him, still unsure. What do you mean? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. Liam took a deep breath and sat back, his gaze thoughtful. What if you didn't have to worry about the rent at all? What if we looked at this as an opportunity? Maybe there's a way we can turn this challenge into something even better for you, something you hadn't considered. Emma blinked, processing what he was saying. What are you talking about? She asked, unsure if she was hearing him correctly. Liam smiled gently. What if I helped you with the rent? I could invest in the studio, help cover the costs for you until you're up and running. You wouldn't have to carry the financial burden alone. You could focus on the art and the people who want to see your work. Emma stared at him, her mind racing. Was he serious? She had never imagined that someone would be willing to invest in her dreams, let alone someone like Liam. She opened her mouth to protest, but he stopped her with a gentle motion of his hand. I know you're thinking that you don't want to take my help, but I believe in you, Emma. I believe in your talent, your vision. This studio is going to be something amazing, and I want to see it grow. I want to be part of that journey with you. She felt the weight of his words sink in, and for the first time, the overwhelming doubt that had consumed her began to lift. She wasn't alone in this fight. She had someone who believed in her. Liam, I don't know what to say, she whispered, her eyes filling with tears. I've never had anyone believe in me like this. Liam smiled softly, his thumb gently brushing the back of her hand. You don't have to say anything. Just know that I'm here for you. Whatever happens, I'll be right by your side. Emma's heart swelled with gratitude, and she realized that this was more than just a business offer. It was a gesture of care, of trust, and of love. She had spent so many years feeling like she wasn't enough, but now, with Liam's unwavering support, she could see herself in a new light. She could be the person she had always dreamed of becoming. As they sat there in the cafe, Emma made a decision. She wasn't going to give up. She would accept Liam's help, not just for the studio, but because she knew this was a chance to build something meaningful. She wasn't just chasing a dream anymore. She was living it. Okay, she said, her voice steady for the first time in days. Let's do it. Let's make this studio happen. Liam's face lit up with a warm smile, and he squeezed her hand. I knew you'd say yes, he said. You've got this, Emma. I'm with you every step of the way. And in that moment, Emma knew that no matter what obstacles came her way, she wasn't going to face them alone. She had Liam, and together, they would build something that neither of them had ever imagined. Months passed, and Emma's art studio became everything she had ever dreamed of. With Liam's help and unwavering support, she had managed to not only stay afloat, but to thrive. The studio, once just an idea sketched out in her mind, had become a bustling space filled with vibrant colors, the sound of brushes on canvas, and the presence of people who admired her work. Emma had never felt more alive, more in tune with herself and her dreams. Each day she woke up excited, ready to paint, to teach, and to build something that was hers. Something she had fought for, and now it was finally coming to life. Liam visited the studio often, sometimes sitting quietly in the corner, watching her work, other times joining her for lunch or helping with small tasks. He had become not just her partner in business, but in life. He believed in her in a way she had never thought possible, and it was his belief that fueled her own. The bond they had built was unshakable, a foundation that grew stronger each day. One day, as Emma was putting the finishing touches on a painting, Liam walked in, his usual smile on his face, but there was something different in his eyes, something she couldn't quite place. Hey, Emma, he said, walking over to where she stood. Can we talk for a minute? Emma wiped her hands on a rag and turned to face him. Of course, she said, her voice curious. Liam took a deep breath, his hands slipping into his pockets. I've been thinking a lot about how far we've come. About you, about us, he began, his tone serious. And I just want you to know how proud I am of you, of everything you've accomplished. You've turned this place into something incredible, and you've done it all with heart, with passion. Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. Thank you, Liam, she said softly, her voice full of gratitude. I couldn't have done it without you. Liam smiled, but there was a slight hesitation in his eyes. Emma, he said, taking a step closer. I've been thinking about the future. About us. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had never seen Liam look so serious, so intent. What do you mean? She asked, her voice filled with anticipation. Liam reached for her hand, gently holding it in his. What I'm trying to say is, I want to build a future with you, Emma. I want to be by your side, not just in the studio, but in everything. I want us to share a life together, one filled with love, with dreams, with everything we've worked for. Emma's breath caught in her throat. For a moment, she was speechless, overwhelmed by the depth of his words. This was what she had always dreamed of, but never allowed herself to truly hope for. Liam, are you saying? She started, her voice shaky. Liam nodded, his eyes soft and filled with affection. Yes, Emma. I'm saying that I love you. I want to be with you always. The words felt like a dream, too good to be true, but as she looked into his eyes, she knew it was real. All the fears she had held on to, about her worth, about their differences, seemed to melt away in that moment. All that mattered was the love they shared. Emma's heart swelled with emotion. I love you too, Liam, she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. I never thought I could have this. I never thought I deserved it, but you've shown me that I do. That we both do. Liam smiled, a sense of relief and joy flooding his face. We both do, he repeated, pulling her into a tight embrace. The warmth of his arms around her was all the reassurance she needed. They stood there for a long moment, wrapped in each other's arms, the world outside the studio fading away. It was just the two of them, together, in this moment, building their future. The next few months were filled with even more success for Emma's studio, but it was no longer just about the work. It was about building a life with Liam, a life that was full of love, support, and the kind of dreams that felt within reach. Liam proposed to Emma one evening at the studio, surrounded by her artwork. He had planned a quiet, intimate moment, but the love in his eyes and the sincerity in his voice made it feel like the most significant moment of her life. Emma, he said, dropping to one knee, will you marry me? Will you be by my side forever? sharing this life, these dreams, with me? Emma's eyes filled with tears as she looked at him, her heart overflowing with happiness. Yes, Liam. 1,000 times yes. And so, Emma and Liam began a new chapter of their lives together, hand in hand, facing whatever challenges came their way. They had built something beautiful, something that went beyond art, beyond business. It was a life filled with love, passion, and the belief that anything was possible as long as they had each other. Emma had found her place in the world, and it was with Liam, in the life they had created together.